Good afternoon. Welcome to Conn Man. Uh, honored a very special guest. He goes by Conn OG Reaves. I talked to him last night. I'm honored on the show, and hopefully he'll be very shortly. Folks, I have to tell you something real quick. At the beginning, we scheduled him to come on, and due to family issues, circumstances, we had to reschedule. Then we had to reschedule again. And I owe him a great deal of my apologies. And of course, he accepted it. And we keep saying we're going to do the damn thing, and hopefully, we are able to do the damn thing. OG John is from Chicago. And I told you, and maybe I'll let him speak about it when he comes on, how we ended up meeting and how we ended up doing All Ball Chicago with, I guess you can call my mentor, Bobby Reed. And we just clicked, we got along, and now we here. He supports my shows and what I'm doing, and obviously I support what he's doing. But today, you know me, it's about giving him his flowers, his roses, because too many times we forget about the OGs. They're the ones that set the standard, and maybe we have gone beyond the standard, but without the standard, where would we go? So anyway, that's what I like to do, and I like to have the OGs give their perspective because they were around before all your youngins had been around, and he has some great stories to tell. And as soon as he gets on, I'm gonna let him because you know me, I talk too much, so I'd rather listen than talk. Right now, I got a little cold, as you can see, and so I'm gonna let him do his thing, and again, give him his roses and his flowers. And he's been ready since this morning, so I know he's there, and we're just gonna wait on him to come on, and because he probably look, he said, "What's gonna happen? We're gonna have to redo it again?" I said, "No." I told my boss, "I said we got to do this, or it's my, you know what?" I said, "Whether I'm sick or not, I got to do this because it's important for me to have him on my show and for him to stick by my side, even though I was going through my little family issues, or whatever. He said prayers for me. Come on, who does that? You know what I mean? So that's a great thing in itself. I kicked it with the boss. I asked her if we can reschedule, and she's matter of fact, she said, "Mike, you better handle your business." So this evening, I'm going to handle my business, and as soon as we're done, I'm going back under the covers. I'm going to try to get some sleep. I slept about 3 hours the last 3 days. I don't know if I'm freezing or I'm burning. I have no idea, but it's one of them. So hopefully I can go take a nap, get ready for the courtside view because I miss doing that show with the crew. So I hope he comes on. Well, you know how I roll. Uh, I got something to tell you guys. Again, I wanted to wait till tonight, but since he hasn't come on yet, all right. I've been promoting the brand. Sports Corner with the Conn Man brand. And our guy, the man Jake Silver, asked me if I wanted my own brand. I said, of course. So it went very well. So I said, let me go order this and check it out. And it came out so good. The material, the clothing is the bomb. I received a hat, the hoodie, and there's going to be multitudes of more. So me, I got a big mouth. So in one way, I'm trying to promote it, and some I'm going to give away. I'm gonna keep it real, and some I hope purchase. But you gotta sometimes you gotta spend a little to make a lot. Well, anyway, as I'm putting this all my posts and all my hoodies, I hope Key's listening to this one. I am. I received some text, and they said, Mike, we love what you're doing. We wanna we want to help you promote your brand. And I'm like, what? Uh, anyway, we can talk about that later. Again, folks, I'm here with the one, the only, John OG Reeves. How you doing, my brother?
How's everything, man? How's everything?
Hey, everything's great. And again, I want to thank you for your prayers and staying put with me, even though I was going through my little family issues. So I want to give you big props to that.
Not a
But
problem. How's your mom doing?
she's doing a lot better. Thank you. She's doing a lot
Good.
better.
Great.
And, what I want to do is, uh, as you know, because you've been watching my shows, what I like to do is, I like to give people their roses, their flowers. And when you kicked it with me, you said, "I want to talk about Chicago." I said, "Okay, cool. That's your home. That's where you from." So
Yep.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the floor. I want you to tell the folks all about how it started, where you started from a youngin to high school to college. Tell folks what they need to know.
No problem. I'm right here. I was born in Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay.
And I came to Chicago when I was 12 years old. But
Okay.
before I came to Chicago, my first athlete I'd ever met was uh, a guy from Wichita State named Cleo Littleton. He was the
Ooh.
first athlete that I'd ever seen in my life,
Wow.
and the only reason I knew him was because of he was hitting on my auntie, who who was a shake dancer in Kansas City, Kansas, and
Okay.
what they call now an exotic dancer or a stripper, whatever. But uh, like that, I grew up in Kansas City till I was 12. Came to Chicago, and I got involved in basketball. And I'm always been a sports guy. I've always, so I love all the games. So I went from there, went to Marshall High School, who was the first city state championship. They won the city, then they won the state. And all of the years they've had high school basketball in Illinois. 1958 was the first year a city school won the state championship.
Oh,
1958, and George Wilson from University of Cincinnati played with uh, Tom Thacker and all these other guys.
oh,
And
I know.
the, the the record that I was trying to think of the record that Tom Thacker had, being the only guy to win championships at every level. When
You
you
know
mentioned
something?
that,
Yeah, yeah.
mentioned,
You take the words out of my mouth.
yeah,
Yes, he
first
is.
that was the first time I'd ever seen uh, the Conn Man, and I got it, and I saw it, and I always wanted to get on this show.
Yeah.
Man, it's
Well,
been a great
great.
thing.
We're gonna get to your background a little bit more, but folks, what I want the viewers to know, what happened was, it was during the pandemic season, and I'm scrolling on my computer, I'm just looking, and I see this guy. I didn't know his name, but it was some guy named Robert Bobby Reed, and I'm looking up there, and then I liked when he was talking about the NBA, and he was talking about the olden days and stuff like that. So I'd be
Yeah,
texting in, and my man OG, he'd be texting in, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Well, how you doing, John?" He's like, "How you doing?" We had our own show going on, so
yeah,
then we did. So Robert Bobby Reed said, "Look, I need to get you two OGs together." And then we ended up being on the show, and it was one of the most uh, viewed podcasts that I've ever been on, and it was because of you and Mr. Robert Bobby Reed. I sent him a link, so hopefully he may come on. But
yeah.
getting back to you again, talk about your high school days viewing basketball in Chicago, because Chicago talks about they the best, New York talk about they the best, Rucker. We all know that. So I want to give you let you get your take on it.
Well, listen. Here's what I know and what I've seen. There's another guy that's a historian who is probably the historian in uh, in Chicago basketball, Illinois, the Illinois basketball. A guy named, and they call him Azariah Tree. Everybody knows him as Tree, and he knows if you put on a pair of gym shoes in Chicago, particularly in Chicago, he knows about you. If you've been near a gym, he knows about you. This guy's
Wow.
been there, done that, and he's younger than I am. I'm 81 years old. I've been there, done that. So I've seen it. I was the first during the tryouts at Marshall High School. I was the first cut by uh, Isidore Spin Solario, who was a coach. He coached at Northeastern Illinois University. He was uh, the guy was his point guard. One of his point guards was Danny Crawford, the referee, just recently retired referee.
Yes. Okay.
And we have a dinner every other Saturday morning in Maywood, Illinois, and all the old timers,
Uh-oh.
every OG that you could name. that that played ball in the city of Chicago or in the surrounding suburbs, they attend these breakfasts, and it's super, man. I mean, it's great. I've seen guys. I was sitting next to a guy named Leon Milton, who was a Vietnam veteran, a wounded a Bronze Star winner, all of that, and he was a guard at Crane High School, which is uh, Marshall High School's rival, which we're actually 1 mile apart. And coincidentally, just who attended Crane High School? George Hallis, the owner of the Chicago
Chicago.
Bears,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
that Coach Solario he attended Crane too. But anyway, I was the first cut and I'd always sneak into the gym, trying to show off and shoot free throws, so at least he would pick me up. But I never got to play high school ball. But I went away to the Air Force after high school. Went away to the Air Force because my idol was Emmett Bryant. That was
Number
my man.
7, Celtics.
Emmett
You know I know.
played with the Boston Celtics, yeah. And so before Emmett went to DePaul, there was another guy named Ivor Jackson. They
Mm.
got drafted by the Celtics. I don't know if he went to camp because he didn't make the team, but he was the second professional athlete I'd ever seen, and he was a good ball player. He worked in the neighborhood settlement house around my neighborhood, and he's a good guy. And he played at Savannah State down in Georgia, and him, Ira, and 5 other ball players from Crane High School went down to Savannah State, and they won championships and plenty of games and all of that. So they would have had a dynasty. Savannah State would have had a dynasty even before Shannon Sharp got there. So, so that's so, and there's so many ball players in Chicago, and I what's the guy that's about to go into the Hall of Fame? Tim Hardaway, and
Mhm.
and there's a guy who I consider to be the greatest ball handler to ever come out of Chicago. A guy named Arthur Civils. He's
See,
passed
that's why I
away.
want you to show, because I guarantee you a lot of people don't know who you're talking about out here. And
I know
before you
they
go in,
don't know.
let
They
folks know how old you are again.
81.
Damn.
Just made 81 years old in October.
Man, God bless you.
I've been
Wow.
there. I was in Vietnam. I was in the Air Force basically, but went to Nam, the whole thing for a minute, and I met so many people. And here's a funny story. There was a guy in the military named Ronald McDonald. That was his name. He was from Harlan County, Kentucky. And
Okay.
you know what his nickname was? Big Mac.
Come
He was about 5'9". That's what we called him, Big Mac. And
Oh, man.
another guy I played ball with in the Air Force named Tony Rogan from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who gave Rick Barry everything he wanted down in Miami. He gave him the business, and and it's a hell of a time. We had such a great time. So it's I've lived a long life, a good life. Like I said, I've been around the world 3 times, met everybody twice. So it's good. It's good to see you. And what I want to know, Con, listen, what is the correct pronunciation of your name?
Okay. It's Michael Conceição.
Conceição. There you go. Because I'm a stickler. I'm a stickler for pronunciation. I'm a
Well, hey,
so
OG, you call me whatever you want. As long as you come on my show, I don't care what you call me. But you know how we roll. We got to do the damn thing.
gotta
Now,
do that.
you,
Gotta
you,
do it. And listen,
when,
here's another thing. Do you know who the the first guy who brought Jerry West brought Kobe Bryant's attention to Jerry West? Because I saw this on Robert Bobby Reed's podcast. Because he was actually on the thing, he was on it, and he was explaining to Bobby about how he met Kobe Bryant and how he saw Kobe Bryant when he was in high school, and he brought his name to Jerry West and said, "You need to see this guy." And that to me, that was the Chicago connection, because
Okay.
Chicago guys, Ronnie Lester, Ronnie Lester
Oh,
was a guard, yeah, played at Iowa, all of that, and
yeah.
and he came right behind him. The was the guy who was, I considered to be the prototype for, probably could have been not Michael Jordan because he's the bomb and all of that. Billy Harris. You ever heard that name?
No.
Billy Harris came to New York, played in the Garden against the University, I think, Indiana or somebody. He played at Northern Illinois, and he put New York on notice. He was he was called. We talked to him. We talked to him and talked about him in reverence. In reverence, just because he was called. I call him the Muhammad Ali of basketball. He could
Wow.
tell you. He could tell you what he's going to do. Go do it. And if he missed, it was a shock. The guy was, and you can look up his stats. They wasn't all that, you know, uh, outstanding, but he was just that guy. He was that guy. When he the first guy I ever saw had an entourage in high school. He had an entourage, and he was dynamite player. He and other ball players. Man, Mickey Johnson didn't play high school basketball. He went to Lindblom High School, didn't play high school basketball, but he ended up going to Aurora College, ended up with the Bulls. So there's so many ball players that I've seen, so many that I know. And this guy I was telling you about, Tree, he knows all of them. And I think he's going to come out with a book in a little bit. I don't know when, but
I hope.
man, there's so many ball players out here. When we saw they did it, I saw a documentary the other night with all of the guards from the East Coast, uh, Kyrie, and all these guys that's coming on from New York and all these, how they got the publicity and stuff. And it's all great, but we've seen these guys, the guys at the Rucker and all that. The
Right, right.
we Because you got to remember, we saw these guys dancing and all that stuff when they're playing ball. We saw that with the Globetrotters. We
Right.
saw that with the Globetrotters. The first, when you think Globetrotters, who do you say? Go Goose Tatum, Marcus Haynes, right?
Yeah,
That's who you think about.
yeah.
Well, second best dribbler ever was Leon Hillard, the
Never
late
heard of him.
Leon Hillard. You never heard that?
No.
Leon Hillard was the second best dribbler behind Marcus Haynes. So we see all of that. When the Globetrotters started in Chicago, they started in Herb Saperstein, Sweetwater Clifton, all these guys started in Chicago.
Folks, we give you knowledge here. Hey,
Sweet,
no boo up in here. Go ahead,
Sweet,
Pops.
Sweetwater went to high school in Chicago and died of a heart attack as a cab driver. As a
Oh,
cab driver, because he did, they I don't know what type of scene that did done it so bad or whatever, you know. And I worked for uh, a guy named John Wilson at Malcolm X College. I was the associate uh, sports director at Malcolm, and John was I think it was documented somewhere that he was the first guy to dunk in a basketball game, and he was 6'3", 6'4", like that. And when I saw him, when you get older, you kind of shrink, and he looked like he was like 6'1", 6'2" when I met him.
right.
But I saw pictures of him, and his best friend was one of his best friends. He's from Anderson, Indiana. One of his best friends was Carl Erskine, pitcher for the Dodgers. That was his best buddy. So uh, John coached at Malcolm X. Malcolm didn't never had a losing record. Never had a losing record. They've always had top great teams. They even the second line players. Some guys that didn't make good grades in regular high school and stuff like that. They would go to Malcolm X, go to other junior colleges around the country, stuff like that. Uh, you see all of these, I've seen all these guys, all these great ball players, man. Art Hicks. You ever heard of Art Hicks?
No.
Art Hicks played for Seton Hall. He was
No.
he was considered to be the greatest ball player to ever come out of Chicago.
Wow. Now you got me on this one.
Before out, he went to Seton Hall. Got kicked out. He got kicked out based on the what is it? The basketball scandal is the 50s and 60s with NYU and LIU and all these people that throwing games, Junius Kellogg and all these guys. It was good ball players, but they got caught up in it. Connie Hawkins, all of them got caught up in all that.
You know
So
about Connie.
yeah, so everybody that's on the East Coast. So uh uh my man named Art Hicks, he got caught up in it, and all these players just couldn't. They didn't hack it because they could have been pros and all that, but back then there was that the rule that the segregation in the South and all that, and then that filtered up to the North. Same way with the, Indiana. Indiana never. Oscar Robertson wanted to go to Indiana.
Yep.
That's where the number one ball player, who's always the Mr. Basketball in Indiana, they always go to the University of Indiana. Oscar wanted to go to Indiana. He ended up going to Cincinnati.
Yes, he did.
So,
Hmm.
man, there's so many things that has happened, but that's what goes on in the Midwest. I saw all these guys. What's the guy's name? Shamgod, and all these guys.
Oh, Sham God. Yes.
The God Shamgod. These guys, listen, they had serious handles, because serious ball players. But we've seen all that dancing and all that kind of that rucker and all that stuff. But what got Future and half man, half amazing. We had a guy. We had a guy named Dr. Duncanstein, 5'10", could dunk a basketball from just a standing start, just jump straight up and dunk it. Five
Wow.
foot 10, dunk. He got he committed suicide. Oh man,
Oh man.
yeah, these guys are Super Bowl players, and they just couldn't handle it. What's the guy? It's another guy. We had a guy named Pete Cunningham. Pete Cunningham scored 90 points in one game. Came on our side of town and got 2 points. He's from he's from the south side. See, the west
Okay.
side. The west side is considered to be, there's two what they call it, standards of basketball in Chicago. South side is a little more finesse. The
Okay.
west side is defense. It's all defense. The guards will really get up on into you. We had a guy named Ben Lilly who ended up playing coaching ball down in Texas, Bishop College in Texas, who was about 5'7", 5'8", and wore glasses. He could dribble the ball down the floor backwards faster than most cats could dribble behind his back. Ball it
Unbelievable.
behind his back backwards faster than
Now,
some could run forward.
let me ask you a question, OG.
Go
You
ahead.
mentioned Stein. Didn't he recruit Will Chamberlain to play with
Oh,
the?
yeah, he played with the Trotters for 1 year.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to know.
Played when he recruited. Tape Saperstein recruited him for 1 year, and then he went with because at the University of Kansas, they couldn't. Back then, the freshmen couldn't play basketball like that in college. So, and you know who his predecessor was before he got to Kansas? Clyde Lovellette.
Oh, and he became big time in a little stuff. We all know
Clyde,
that.
Clyde Lovellette was a big timer with the Celtics, or whoever he
Yeah.
played with. Was with the
Yeah.
Celtics. I know you hate the Celtics.
Yes.
Well, I'm not a
Go ahead.
Celtics fan either. I'm a Bill Russell.
Your flowers. So we gonna keep going on. But
I'm a
what I
Bill
want to do,
Russell fan. I'm a Charlie Jones. What's the guy name?
Charlie Scott.
Charlie, not Charlie, but Charlie Scott. That I'm a JoJo White fan.
Oh
Charlie
yes.
Scott. JoJo White,
Yeah.
because he played with. I was sitting next to him at the breakfast last week. Richard Bradshaw played at
Mm.
Marshall High School. Bradshaw was the other guard. Played with JoJo White at Kansas. JoJo is from St. Louis.
Yes.
So
Yes. That's right.
St. Louis, and so many ball players all over the state. Uh, Curly Boo Johnson. Curly Johnson played was the dribbler. That was his role with the Globetrotters. He's from Peoria. He's
Wow.
from Peoria. I met a guy when I was in the military named Philip Ward. Played for East St. Louis Lincoln. He was a hell of a ball player. Hell of a ball player. So, but he never went nowhere and all. So, I met guys from Columbia, Missouri. A guy named Maurice Donnell that was a good football player. He guarded a guy from baseline to baseline and wouldn't let the guy get inside the little to get the pass break started. So, it's, man, listen, and somebody stole the ball. Remember I told you about Arthur Civils. A guy stole the ball from him and got a standing ovation. Because you couldn't take the ball from Arthur. Arthur was, and he was when the somebody asked him, well, if you wanted to start a team, who would you? Who was the first player you would pick? He said Arthur Civils. He said, well, why him? He said, because he gets everybody involved. The Globetrotters offered him a contract when he was 13 years old. That's how good he was.
That's
That's how
incredible.
there's been so many great ball players, ball handlers, jumpers, dunkers, jump shot guys. Man, I've seen mostly all these dudes, all of these cats. I've seen a lot of them. So, do you know? And here's a guy. Okay, Boston, the Boston Shootout. You ever been to the Boston Shootout?
About 15 times, but go ahead.
There's a guy that was a referee, brought a team up there. Reuben Norris.
Yes, he went to Cincinnati. Am I correct?
Now,
He played.
Reuben Norris was went to he went to
I know
what's
enough.
a college went to school in Tennessee,
Okay. Okay.
Knoxville College. Reuben Norris
Okay.
was a quarterback, point guard, and Reuben now is like 89 years old, and
Oh, okay.
he comes to the dinners on Sunday. Man, he's like the
I
Godfather.
gotta go to one of them dinners. I gotta go.
The man,
So
he
what's
was
going on with
man.
what,
If you ever come to Chicago, I will
oh,
show you around.
I'm gonna hit you up real quick. But
Man, I'll
you talking
show
about
you.
a team from Chicago to play in the
Huh?
Boston Shootout? He brought a
Yeah,
team.
yeah. He brought
Who,
a
who
team. Beer brought all. I'm trying to. So many ball players. I don't.
Yeah.
He been there so many times. I don't know. I can't remember all the players he brought.
Well, I'm gonna say something, and you may hang up on me. But all my years going to the shootout, and of course, Chicago came down every year and represented very well. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you who probably was the best ball player at Chicago, and you're gonna hang up on me. But
You know, I'm not.
before I say his name, is Mark Aguirre was outstanding when he
Yep.
came to the shootout. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They have so many, you can go on and on and on and on and on. But I'm gonna tell you one guy. Well, let me tell you a quick story. Um, it was this one was at BU, and place was packed. And Pat Ewing was in the dunk contest, and there was a whole bunch of people in the dunk contest. And
Mm-hmm.
there was who was on the floor at half court. What I call them boat shoes, which is like to old school. They look like canvas
Uh
shoes.
huh. Yep.
You know what I mean? And this individual, without one, he wasn't in the dunk contest. Went up and he put on the best show I've ever seen. And this is when Pat Ewing was dunking two hands backwards. This guy would have won that dunk contest every year. I'm gonna say his name. And I want to see what your feedback is on him. He goes by the name of Ronnie Fields.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ronnie Fields. Yeah, Ronnie played with Kevin Garnett at Farragut High School.
Yeah, I
Now,
know you know. I know.
here's another little anecdote. Do you know who won the first college dunk contest? He's from Chicago.
Oh man, hold up. Now we gotta go. First,
First college dunk contest.
oh, now, hey, I'm gonna have to use that one. Let me see. First, so I had these 70s.
I'll give
I
you a hint.
know.
Played at Texas A&M.
Ooh, mm, Texas A&M.
Your son is playing
Oh,
ball, plus playing pro ball right now.
oh, you're killing me.
Can't
I
think of
don't know.
Sonny Parker.
Oh, of course I know that name. I know that name, of course.
Yeah, Sonny
Wow,
Parker won the first college dunk contest. The first college All Star dunk contest.
that's a good one. That is a good one, and that's
Yeah,
why I tell you, no Google up in here. This we keeping it real,
yeah.
and yeah,
Ronnie Fields could jump. Ronnie Fields could get up and do all of that, but
unfortunately, I
it's
said
so many
that.
other guys. Us other guys could do just better than Donnie, better than Ronnie. And
See,
Ronnie is
this is what I like. This is what I like that.
Super Bowl player. So man, there's so many of them. I could tell you a story, and this would make you hang up on me. A guy walked a guy walked
Never.
from the cold, come in from the summer hot, from the summer heat. Guy named Eddie Pruitt. Eddie Pruitt. He came in wearing a tailor-made outfit because this is swear to God, this guy's his lifelong dream was to be a pimp, and he rode around in about a 12-year-old Cadillac limousine, doing whatever. I don't know where he got it from, but he walked into the Malcolm X gym in a dunk contest with those platform shoes on, pulled them
No.
off, put on some Chuck Taylor All Stars, and won the contest. And he was 6'2", 6'2", and he put this ball under his t-shirt, pulled it out, and dunked it backwards. So that's Eddie Pruitt. And he went out for Malcolm X's team and quit the first day of practice because he said they not working, man. These cats they ain't doing nothing. I think he played maybe a half a year at Marshall and left. And here's another little thing. A kid that matched Billy Harris. Nobody, and this guy's in Chicago that don't know him because he moved out of Chicago and moved to Detroit. Guy named Chester Wilson. Chester Wilson got kicked off the team. He played 1 year, and he corrected me by saying I only played a half a year of high school basketball, and he got a full ride to the University of Detroit. Now
Wow.
and I'm gonna tell you who his coach was. Dick Vitale.
Ah,
Dick Vitale coached at University of Detroit
yep.
1 year,
Yes.
and he said that was the worst move he ever made. He kicked Chester off the team because Chester was a follower of Louis Farrakhan.
Oh, you know that was gonna happen. Yeah.
And he kicked him off the team because he went, as he said, it went Muslim on him, and he kicked him off the team. And Vitale said that was the worst move ever made because Chester was a point guard. Chester was a shooting guard. Chester could play anywhere you wanted to play him, and he was like 6'3". That's it. That's it. So Chester could go down, throw down. So there's so many ball players in Chicago that you could have the influx of ball players from Chicago. They're everywhere. Clifford Mealy played for the Denver Nuggets. Meely. Clifford Mealy went to Harlan High School. He was the first cat, not the first cat in the NBA, but the first one from Harlan in the NBA. Because
Now,
Sweetwater, Nat Clifton was the first Globetrotter. He was the first
eh,
one to play in the NBA.
now, OG, I gotta hit you hard, and
Go
I
ahead.
hope I'll probably Reed's listening as well. You just named the best out of the best in Chicago. My question to you is, and I'm sure you don't know the answer. Maybe you do. With all this influx of talent in Chicago, how come most of them didn't go to DePaul?
Thank you. Now here's
Whoa.
another thing. Ed Good, who was a point guard at DePaul, Uh, DePaul could have had behind it. I think they won the championship way back when they had George Mikan and all them guys. But
Yeah, right.
DePaul could have had years ago a dynasty when you had Dave Lato on your show.
Yeah,
They out man, listen, they could they ball players from Chicago could have lined up as a this DePaul is an elf a subway ride from the west side.
okay.
They could have had so many great ball players. Loyola had
Yeah,
ball players from Chicago. They had one ball player from Chicago, maybe three. And I can't think of the guy's name. James Coleman, Johnny Egan from St. Rita, James Coleman went to Crane, and Arthur Oates. Arthur Oates, who ended up as an executive with, believe it or not, the Quaker Oats Company, and
wow.
he's a good, hell of a ball player. But these cats could have had a dynasty in DePaul for years on end, for years on end. Grades, all kind of stuff. Guys just come to school, they just play ball. They can't read or whatever. They couldn't read or wouldn't read, whatever it was. But DePaul could have been running just like Duke in North Carolina. They could have been there in the Final Four every year had they
Yeah,
taken it a good advantage of Isaiah. As good man, Isaiah. I played CYO ball with Isaiah's brothers. And Isaiah's brother, Lord Henry. That was his
yep.
nickname. Name was Lord Henry Thomas. Was a better ball player than Isaiah. Isaiah had a brother named Gregory, who passed away. Uh, the we had a guy named Duke Lewis, Cardell Lewis. Duke Lewis was the prototype for Charles Barkley. He was the prototype. He was strong like Charles Barkley, big like Charles Barkley, 6'4", 6'5", all of that. Man, uh, a guy now who is a what's his name? Jackson, Don Jackson, went to Northwestern. Jim Pitts, big time, big center, broke his leg in a summer league game. Got drafted, never went to camp, and he's passed away too. Uh, Ended up being a teacher in North Carolina, all the social work teacher, 6'10", all of that. Uh, these guys man, DePaul could have had so many ball players. Uh, MC Thompson was the big guy out of Marshall High School who went to DePaul. He was big time rebounder, and man, Marshall had so many good ball players. Crane, they and we they used to Crane kids used to fight all the time after games and stuff like that. Now Crane kids marry Marshall girls. Same way with Marshall men married Crane girls, and we hold all the old time guys. We hold reunions, dinners together, and all that. So we're all buddies now, friends. Just like in regular real life. So DePaul could have had man. They could have just stationed the what they call it, an agent or a recruiter right outside Marshall High School and just got them when they came out the door. It was
So,
so many.
OG, I got to interrupt you because again, you messed up my day, folks. I claimed that I'm a basketball historian, and then when I had the pleasure of having Sam Jones on my show, he died at the age of 83, 3 months after he came on my show. After him speaking to me about what it was like in the '60s and the way the African American players got treated and what they had to go through, I said, Mike, anybody can read stats, anybody can do it, but when you've been actually there, so I
Yeah,
gave that stigma out of me. So I got put in my place. And again, this evening with my man OG, he put me in my place. So that's a good thing. I
yeah.
love it. It's a good.
Have you ever heard of speaking of Sam? You ever heard of the 2-3-5 rule in the South? If they
No.
if they had black players on the team, put you could start two black players. You put three when you start to lose, or you want you when you're building the league, and 5 if you get behind.
Wow. Wow.
Other than that, then
Wow.
no other black player didn't put no black players on the squad. All,
Oh,
then
great.
same
Yeah.
way with when Texas Western beat the brakes off of
Oh,
North
yeah.
off Kentucky. Man, you should have seen the people just cheering, just loved it. David Latin did that dunk, that first dunk, the first time he got the ball inside and put that dunk on him. Man, listen. And do you remember the time when uh, Notre Dame put? I think it was they were playing Michigan State or somebody. They put 5 ball players on the started by 5 ball players from Notre Dame and the student body. They playing at Notre Dame. The student body booed the student body at Notre Dame, a Christian school,
Man.
and they,
Mm-mm-mm.
and they demanded that Father, what's the guy named Father Hesper, Superintendent Hesper of the president of Notre Dame, had to
Yeah.
issue a public apology for the student body, making that the boo that whole boo thing. So it was awful, man. It was awful. And it was right. It's right here in America. That's what they do. So I'm not a follower of no big group or none of that. None of the Muslims or none of that kind of stuff. But I listen to what they say, and I read a lot of history and the whole thing, even with the basketball and with you remember, you know, what is it? The Disney Corporation. Disney
Uh-huh.
Corporation owns ABC, ESPN, all that.
Uh,
Right?
yep.
Back in the day, and this has been if Chuck D was the announcer. They had a
Okay.
30 for 30 or whatever, and he told the truth about what happened with uh, what's the guy's name? Sweetwater.
Okay.
Dave Saperstein allegedly sold Sweetwater's contract to the New York Knicks for $25,000 and gave Sweetwater 5, and he kept the rest. So, and then the next couple of days or whatever, that program, they took that program off, and uh, Chuck D, who was doing the thing from the rap group Public
Yep.
Enemy, he was
Uh-huh.
doing that podcast and doing that rap on the thing. He got a call from Eloise Saperstein, who said, "I don't never want to see that program again." And I've never seen it. I've been looking at it. I saw it the first time. Never saw it. This was before I could get a recording of it on my television. So
Um,
they never saw it again. And I've been to Eloise Saperstein's house because John Wilson, the guy with the dunk, played with the Globetrotters. And all, and man, she lives in Lincolnwood, but she lived in that then. And she's like rich. That black folks didn't live out of Lincolnwood, so that was going on. So said, and I met her. She's a nice lady and all that. She said, I don't never want to see that program again, and I've never seen it again, never. So I always wanted to hear him say what the real truth was about with Abe Saperstein, because it was the only game in town for black folks. Other than the people in New York, the New York Reds and Renaissance and all them.
right.
So I know about them. It was the guy named Tarzan. Tarzan, he was a big burly dude, the center or whatever, and could play ball and all that. So I've never seen him play, because I'm not that old, but I never seen him play. But I've always been around the game. I've always and I was a ringer one time. You know what a ringer is, right?
Uh-huh.
I was a ringer. Changed my name, got got on the team, and I've played against the guy that's the historian in Chicago, Tree. I played with him and against him.
Huh?
So man, I've been around a long time. I go to I go to neighborhoods and stuff, and I went to a neighborhood once on 41st Street, 41st and Calumet, and it's around a school called Felsenthal School. There's no there's no longer in existence, but they call them the Thal Boys. And these guys greeted me and embraced me, made me an honorary Thal boy. And I was,
Wow.
man, listen, I just went to one of them's funeral this summer and all
Oh,
that. Man, it's just one of them, and all these guys are leaving and just dropping, and we try to, that's what we're trying to do with these breakfasts on Saturday morning. Because I got to go there tomorrow morning, actually at 9 o'clock, so we can have breakfast and sit down and have a prayer, sit down and talk about this, just share old memories and ball play. I haven't met everybody that comes to them things, because that's it's not in order. We all just sit in the round tables, just sit and talk, and we just I walk with a cane. I sit at the table where all the guys have walkers and canes and stuff, and we just have a good time. Yeah, there was one guy I sat next to. I looked at him. I kept looking at him. Who and I, and he said, "Well, man, how do you recognize me?" I said, "By the shape of your head." And, he's, and here's the guy, and I went to grammar school with the guy named
man.
Preston Jones, and his son is a judge in Chicago right now. So it was just amazing. And I was sitting right next to the guy. Then kept looking at him. I said, how you know me, man?" I said, "For the shape of your head." I said, "'Cause, oh, okay." So we just had a big laugh about that, and just a big thing, man. A big to do about basketball. It's all about. I'm Mickey Johnson, Eugene Ford from went to Western Michigan. Uh, all these other ball players went to different colleges. A lot of them in the South, because a lot of them couldn't play ball in the North. A
You
lot of
know,
them couldn't play in the South. So it's just all kind of guys play from everywhere, and
exactly.
they
You know
just
what's good?
a lot of them are
OG,
veterans, a lot of them are
but
mentors.
yeah, we got a couple minutes left, and
Oh
what I
yeah,
want to, we're
go
gonna do
ahead.
part two. We're gonna do part two, but we got a couple minutes remaining, and I'm gonna send you this show, and you can send all the video to all your people in Chicago, so they're gonna be impressed with the fact that you remember them, and it's a great thing.
Oh,
But
certainly.
part two, I want folks to know we're gonna do part two, and I
Oh,
want folks to realize this one, and they don't believe me. Bill Russell was acquired by the Celtics via the Ice Capades.
the
Nobody
escapade.
believes.
Walter
Can
Brown.
you?
Walter Brown, Walter Brown, and all that. He said, "Well, if you, I can draft you. I can, if you let me have it, I'll let you have the escapades with Sonia Henney and all these people. Give me, give me Bill Russell." And that's how he got there. That's how he got there. That's how they got them 11 championships. All of that.
Well, thank
And
you,
man,
OG.
no
Well, how
problem.
would you want to say something? You
You
want
do
to give any
part.
shout outs? You shout out to everybody. Do you want to give any shout outs before we got to go? And there will be part two.
Oh, certainly. Shout out to my man Tree, Ruben Norris, and all the guys at at the the old timers get together. I love them, man. This is great. A shout out to my sons. My sons played high school basketball and high school football. Something I could never do. My daughter played high school basketball 1 year, 2 years actually, and she left and went to. She graduated from Whitney Young. She did something I always wanted to do: hit one basket in a public league game. That's all I wanted to do. And
Uh,
I could never do that because I never made the team. But my daughter played. She's now an attorney. And I do the podcast. I'm doing this podcast from my house right now. Because
awesome. Tell them I said hello, and
we'll do.
got a
And
world of artists
you say
teaching her.
hello to your mom. Tell her I thought
Yes,
about her and all of that.
thank you so much, folks. Again, this is why I do what I do because I got people like OG who keeping it real with you guys and letting you guys, get some true knowledge. And he's going to be back again. We're going to do part two. Best believe. Again, I apologize because we've been rescheduling, but
Yeah,
know something? It
no
was
problem.
worth it. It
No
was
problem.
worth it having you on my show, my brother.
I got
Peace,
you.
love. I love you. I got big love for you, my brother.
Love you, my man.
Folks, thank you for tuning
Thank
into my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man. And stay tuned. We got courtside view tonight, talking all NBA and
I'll
the
be looking
network.
at that too.
You can
I'll
join
be
in.
what
Again,
I got that on my
thank
phone.
thank you so much. Have a
No
great night,
problem.
everybody. Stay
All
safe.
right. All right, Conn Man.
Got it.
Oh man.